Welcome to this Google Sheets tutorial. In this video, we'll guide you through building a simple budget from scratch. No experience necessary. Let's get started. To use Google Sheets, let's use it in the browser Google Chrome. You could use it in another browser, but Google Sheets is a Google product. Let's use it in Google Chrome. It does work better in its, I wouldn't call it native environment, but that is its environment. If you have it on your desktop, Google Chrome, double click it here. Or if you have it down here on your taskbar, click it once. If you don't have it readily available, if you don't see it immediately, just go ahead and click here in your search bar. You might even see it. Once you click in the search bar, you might even see it on the list of things that have been opened recently. But if you don't, just go ahead and type it in. Here, we've typed it in. And if it's installed, it will show up on the list and you can just click it to open it. The fastest way to use Google Sheets is to click in the address bar and type in on your keyboard, sheets.google.com. And as you're typing it, Google might even fill it in for you. That's fine. If it fills it in, you can hit enter at any time, or you can just finish typing it all in the address bar and hit enter yourself. If you are not logged into your Gmail account, you will need to do so now. So you click in your email spot and type in the name, or if your name pops up, go ahead and click it. If you've used this computer before and you've typed in your Gmail account name many times, often it will save it. Windows will save it, or Chrome will save it. Not always. But if it doesn't, you're going to need to type it in and click next. Type in your password and click next. If you are already logged in, this will come up right away, your Sheets start page. To start a new sheet, we're just going to click blank worksheet. And here we are. Let's do a really simple budget right now. Just follow my steps. Then, as we add more details, I'm going to give a lot more explanation. Quick note, as you see, it's pretty large. I made this spreadsheet look large so my old eyes can see it. If you hold down your control key and you use the scroll wheel on the mouse, you can make your screen larger, or I'm going to scroll down, or smaller. As you need to see closer, scroll up, or if you want to see more of your sheet, you can scroll down. Click on this first cell, A1. That's the first cell. Click it. You see it's in blue. It's selected, so it's got a blue border around it. And we're going to type the word income. And hit enter. Now that word is in that cell. Next to income, I'm going to click in the cell next to it because I want to type something in this cell, B1. We're going to type in the amount of income. Let's go with 4,000. So we'll type 4,000. Hit enter. Now expenses. I want the expenses to line up under income. So I'm going to click in a cell, A3. I want to do a little distance so it looks clear to me, but you don't have to. This is just so you can see the basics of how to use a spreadsheet. Next to expenses, next to the label expenses, I'm going to click in that cell and type in a number for expenses. Let's type in the number 3,000. Hit enter. Now we have that data, that number inside that cell. I'm going to click in cell A5 and I'm just going to type leftover because that is what we'll have after all of our expenses are taken out of the income that we have in the bank. I'm going to click in the cell next to leftover. And looking at this, I can see 3,000 from 4,000 will equal 1,000. So I'm going to click in that cell and type 1,000. That's great. But this is hardly making use of our spreadsheet. This is hardly making use of the capabilities of this. Let's change the expenses, for instance. If I change that to 3,416. Now we can do the math, of course, but that's what we want the spreadsheet to do. We want it to do the math. So I'm going to click on the cell where I want the answer to appear, and I'm going to put a formula in this cell where we want the answer to appear. I am going to hit delete, the delete key, just to get rid of that number so it's not confusing what we're doing. So the formula we're going to type is on the keyboard, find your equal sign, the key with the equal sign, it's next to the backspace, type equal. Next to that, we're going to type in our income number, 4,000. And just like a math problem, we're going to, a subtraction problem, we will type the minus sign, which is the key with the dash, the one that's next to the plus sign key. Don't hold the shift down, just hit that key. Next, we'll type in the number for the expense, 3416. That's all we need for our formula. So we're done typing. When we're done typing in a cell, we hit enter. Look at that. It did the calculation for me. But let's say that's our expenses this month. Next month, we're into the next month, and we find our expense is now 3,759. I'm going to hit enter. But the calculation didn't change. I'm going to click on that cell, and we can even see the calculation right here. The calculation is what I typed in before. That's not a good use of my time to keep retyping in the calculation. The reason that we use a spreadsheet is to automate things for us. So let's make it so this cell, the leftover amount, always shows us what is ever in the income cell minus whatever's in the expense cell. I'm going to hit the delete key just to, again, erase what's in that cell so it's clear what we're doing. Again, we start our equations again, we always start our equations with an equal sign. So I'm going to tap the equal key. And this time, instead of typing 4,000, I'm going to click on the space that has 4,000 in it. Once I click on that space, the cell address is now put into the formula. I'm going to type an equal sign. I'm going to type a minus sign, the dash, and then I'm going to click in the space, the cell that has the number for the expenses. And I'm going to go over this in the next video slowly. So I'm going to click that. And now in the formula, we have the cell with the income minus then the cell with the expenses. That's all we need for this formula, one thing minus another. Since we're done typing the formula, we're going to hit the enter key. And now I have a number in here that is accurate. 4,000 minus 3,759 is 241. The reason that we do this, because now we've made our life easier. Whenever we want to change the numbers, the calculation is already in there. We can now just play with the numbers. So I'm going to click on the income and say, hey, my income went up this month. My Etsy account started making some money for me. So my income this month is 4,200. I type in the number, hit enter, And look at that. In the leftover spot, the calculation is automatic. My expenses, they went down a little this month. I finished paying off a credit card. Let's make this expense $37.10. Type it in, hit enter. This amount changes automatically. Once more, income. We were doing really well with the Etsy this month. Let's say it's $45.16. Enter. The leftover amount, $806, is $4,516 minus $3,710. And we're going to build on this spreadsheet, adding more details and talking a little bit more about these cells. All right, let's add to this. So income, we were saying before, our income, we have two sources of income. We have a job that's paying us some money, and we have an Etsy store. I want to add more detail to this. When you're building a spreadsheet, often you're going to need to change not just the numbers, but the structure. In order to accommodate new information or looking at things a different way. I'm going to go back and do that again slowly. In this case, we want to add some columns in between. So I'm going to go to the column, my starting point, and I'm going to decide whether I want to add a column of, a row. I want to add a row. I want to add 2 rows so I can add in information for my job and for my Etsy store. Pick your starting point. I'm going to pick this row and decide whether I want to add a row above it or below it. When I've decided on the row number, when I'm going to move my mouse over to the row number and right click. You'll get a menu. Again, there's more than one way to do this. I'm just showing you one easy way right now. When you right click, you're going to get another menu of choices. And I see a choice that I like here. Insert one row below. Click that. And now, instead of the one blank row, I've got 2 blank rows. Actually, I want to add one more row. I'm going to do it with the trackpad this time. I'm going to move the mouse cursor over row 3. I'm going to right click, and that's going to give me a menu of choices. And now I'm going to say I want to enter one more row below. Now I've got 2 new rows that I've added. Let's add some text, some labels in here for our income sources. I'm going to click in A2 because that's where I'm going to enter information next. I am going to hit the space bar a couple of times because I just like the way that it looks. Little indentation. Of course, again, other ways to do it, but we're going to keep it simple. 2 spaces, and I'm going to type job. When I'm done typing, we close the cell by hitting enter. Let's add Etsy. I'm going to hit the space bar 2 times, type Etsy. Hit enter. Now I've got 2 new spaces for income. Let's go put some numbers in there. So I'm going to go over to job and enter, let's see, we'll go back to the 4,000. And for the Etsy store, let's say this month we had 500. We'll work with some even numbers right now so you can see what it looks like. The total is at the top. I don't want the total at the top here. I want the total down here. So I'm going to put a label here. I'm going to hit the space bar 3 times now. Type in T-O-T-A-L. Hit enter to close the cell. Notice every time you hit enter, it moves you down to the next cell. And you can tell it's moving you down because the cell that's active, the cell that you're working in, has a blue border. Let's go over here to total. And well, actually first, I'm going to get rid of this because I don't want the total to be above the numbers. I want it to be below. So I'm going to hit delete. Look at what happened here with leftover. Oh no, our formula's messed up because we deleted that. That's okay. Everything can be adjusted. We're going to come back to that. I'm going to click in the cell next to total, and I'm going to put a formula here that adds this and this. So we'll get our total income. In fact, you know what? I'm going to even edit this to say total income. So I'm going to double click, and now I have the blinking line. That means I can type. Let me type another word, total income. So I know exactly what is in the cell next to it. Labels are important. So you know what the numbers mean exactly. Because total could just mean anything. Could have been the total left over, could be total expense. But let's make our labels. Let's go ahead and put a formula in the cell, in the place next to total. We're going to do like we did before. We're going to want to click in the cell where we want the result, where we want the number to appear. And we start the formula with an equal sign. So we're going to tap the equal key on the keyboard. Notice there's a bunch of stuff that has now been filled in the cell. The word sum and cell addresses. This is because Google Sheets is looking at all the numbers around and making an assumption, trying to help you, trying to guess what you're going to do. Sometimes this is helpful, sometimes it is not. This is not what we want to do right now. We will talk about sum, but first I want us to put in a simple formula like we did before. So we're going to ignore what Sheets has written in here, and we're going to continue on as if it's not even there. What did we do last time? We started our formula with the equal sign, and then we clicked on the number we want to add. One of the numbers, the first number. So we're going to click on that number. We're clicking on the cell that holds that number. And you see now our formula, the cell address has now populated our formula automatically. We have the number, the first number we want to add. What do we do next? We're going to put in an operator. We're putting in the A+ sign. So on the keyboard, we're going to hold down the shift and tap the key with the plus sign. Same key that has the equal sign. We have a plus. Now let's click on the next number that we want to add in this formula. We're going to click on that cell that has the next number we want to add. That cell address has now been entered into our formula. And again, Google Sheets trying to be helpful is even showing you right here a quick calculation of what it's going to be, what these two are going to add up to. This little hint box is just kind of a check to help you make sure you're on the right track. You can ignore it or not. This formula is complete. We're only adding 2 numbers, so when we're done entering everything in our formula, we go to the enter button and close the cell, complete the formula. And you see that formula in our total cell has now been calculated. Job 4,000, Etsy 500, so the total is 4,500. Continuing on, our amount in leftover is still not right. Why not? If we click in that cell, we can look in the formula bar and see that formula is pointing to a cell that doesn't have information in it. This formula says B1, which is this cell, minus B5, which is this cell. B1 doesn't have anything in it. In fact, we don't even want to use B1. We want to use this cell. This cell is B4. Look, if I click on it, I can check over here in the name box. We want to use cell B4 in our formula. So let's go back to this cell next to leftover. Let's fix this. My suggestion is when you're starting out and you need to fix something or something is wrong, delete it and start over. You're not being graded. There's no shame in it. It just makes it clear. So I've clicked on this cell that says leftover, and I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard. Done. Gone. Clean slate. Let's start over. We're going to put a formula in here that is what? What would we do on paper? We would write whatever the number is for our total income minus total expenses. So here we're going to tap the equal, start our formula with the equal. We are going to click on the first number that we need in this formula. So that's our total income. We are going to subtract, so we need the dash, the minus sign. And then we're going to click on the next number that's in this formula, what we're taking away, that's the expense. So we'll just click on that number, and those cell addresses are just pop right into the formula. We're done. We're only doing two numbers, one thing minus another. So since we're done, hit enter. Now we have a proper calculation. The number in the cell next to leftover is correct because it is subtracting the expenses from the total income. Let's take a quick look at formulas, which really are just sentences in math, and it's something that we all have always been doing. For instance, on paper in school, if you are writing a formula to put together two of one thing and two of another thing, you would write it out on one line as 2 plus sign 2 and an equal sign. It's really similar in spreadsheets. With spreadsheets, the big difference is as we start the math sentence with the equal sign, equal, and then the rest of the sentence we write just like we would have if it were on paper, equals 2 plus 2. When we type it in the spreadsheet this way, that equal sign lets the spreadsheet know, hey, there's an equation coming, hey, there's a formula coming, hey, there's some math coming, and it knows to do some type of calculation with whatever comes next. That equal sign is a trigger. And the minute that you finish your equation and you move to another cell, or you hit the enter key on the keyboard, that equation, it's still there, but it shows you the result. Let's look at some very common equations or calculations that we would do and how we would write that formula on paper and how we would type it in a spreadsheet. If you want to add things together, we use the plus sign, and we would write it 2 plus 2 equals, for an example. When we're using spreadsheets, you're going to use the plus key on your keyboard. That's the one next to the backspace button if you're on a Windows computer. And we would type it in a cell, starting with the equal sign, the number, plus sign, and another number. If we want to subtract one number from another, when we write it out on paper, we use the minus sign, and we write the number minus another number equal sign. Very close in a spreadsheet. We won't call it a minus key on the keyboard. It's actually the hyphen key or the dash key on your keyboard. You might have one. If you have an extra long keyboard, you'll actually have two. Both of them work the same. Look for the key on your keyboard with the dash. It's usually next to the equal key. And you will type it in the spreadsheet, starting with the equal sign, and then your number, minus sign, or the dash, and your next number. Now, for multiplication, it's a little different. We commonly use an X to signify multiplying, as in 5 times or x5 equals. On a spreadsheet, instead, we are going to use the asterisk symbol. This symbol is usually, almost always, on the 8 key, on the number 8 key, and you would hold down Shift and press the number 8 to get this symbol. And in the spreadsheet, it would look like this, equal 5 asterisk 5. For division, definitely different. We often use a division sign, or we'll use a bracket, and we might write it out on paper as 9 divided sign 3. Although we do use this in writing as well, but in the spreadsheet and with your keyboard, you're going to use the slash key. And this key is next to your shift key on the bottom, or the second to the bottom row of your keys on your keyboard. And the formula looks like this in your spreadsheet. You start with the equals as always, 9, then slash, and then the number that you want to divide by. Now let's add some expenses here. First, I'm going to put some space between expense and total. Let's put income back in there. See, I noticed I click in the formula bar so I can add more words. Hit enter. I want a blank space above expense. So we're going to put a blank row up there. I'm going to put my mouse cursor over the row number that I want to work with. Right mouse click on the right side of the mouse. I get a menu of choices that I can use to change the structure of the spreadsheet. I want to add a row above. So now I'm just going to normal click, left click on that menu. And now I have a nice blank row above expense. Under expense, let's add some details under expense. A good budget should have details so you understand what the numbers mean and what they're doing and what to change. So under expense, let's add rent. That's a good detail to add. Oops, I'm going to backspace. I want my 2 spaces again, just for formatting so it looks nice. You don't have to do it. Hit enter when I'm done. Now I'm going to move to the cell next to rent and type in a number. Let's say 1,000. And hit enter. We'll use some nice round numbers. Couple of things. I don't need this expense up here now because we're going to move it below. So I'm going to delete that. In fact, let's put we want to structure the expense section the same way as income. So I'm going to insert another row. Here I'm going to click on rent. That's the row I want to work with. Right mouse click, insert a row below. And in this cell, I'm going to type in total expense. So you hit the spacebar 3 times that time. 1, 2, 3. And type in total expense. Hit enter. I want to add some more expenses besides rent though. So I'm going to need to put some more rows in here. I'm going to click on the row I want to work with, rent. I'm going to right mouse click, get my menu. I'm going to select, I want to insert a row below. Let's just do some more while we're at it. I want 4 more rows. Right mouse click. I'm going to click insert row below. Now a way we can do it, we can select more than 1 row at a time. If I move my mouse over the row number, click and hold, don't let go of the button, and move down over the row numbers until I have all the row numbers I want. I just want these 2. Now I'm going to let go of the mouse button. Those rows are both selected because they are highlighted in blue. That means these are active. Whatever I do next is going to happen to these 2 rows. I'm going to go back like we did before. move over the row number. Even though my mouse cursor, the cursor looks different now. It looks like a hand. It's still the mouse working its mouse thing. I'm going to move over the 8, right mouse click again, like we did before. And where I want to insert 2 rows below, before it said insert a row below. Now it knows I have 2 selected, so it's telling me, okay, you want 2 rows below? And I do. So I'm going to select that, click it, and now I've added 2 rows at a time. But you don't have to do it that way. You could just do it one at a time. No shame in that game either. We're going to click in the cell and type in some more expense types. Let's type in 2 spaces, utilities, hit enter, 2 spaces, groceries, hit enter, 2 spaces, entertainment, hit enter. What else do we want to add? 2 spaces, transportation, oops, hit enter. All right, this budget is shaping up to make sense. Let's add some numbers in here that we can add up. Let's keep them even numbers so we can make sure everything is looking right. After we've made sure everything is looking right, in real life, like if you had real numbers, you can put your real numbers in, but that's a good tip, strategy. Test out your calculations, make sure they're working right by just adding numbers that may not make sense, but are just round numbers, so you can eyeball and see if your calculations look right. So we'll add 200 for entertainment and transportation. Let's just add 100. Okay, so we have some numbers, some round numbers in here. These could be real life. They might not be, but we're just using this as a check. Let's put a formula in the total expense cell. We start our formulas, as always, with the equal sign. So we tap the equal key. Again, Sheets has put in some things in the cell trying to help us out, trying to guess what we'll need. And what it's put in here is a function called sum and some cell addresses. We will come back to that. Right now, I want us to look at what the formula actually looks like when we do it by hand. So we're going to ignore this that's in here in the cell, and we're going to click on the first number we want to work with. That's the rent. What do we want to do with it? We want to add it to the next number. So we're going to press the plus key. Remember, you got to hold the shift down on that equal key. I have a plus sign in the formula. I'm going to click on the next number I want to add. Okay, what do we want to do next? We want to add another number. So I'm going to put a plus sign and click the next number. What do we want to do? We want to add the plus sign. This is what we would do if we were writing this on a line in real life. I'm going to shift plus to get that plus sign and add the last number. No more plus signs. This formula is done. We're not doing anything else to it. I had the last number. That means we're done. We're going to hit enter. And it has total added everything up. 1,000 plus 500, 1,500 plus 300, 1,800 plus 200, 2,000 plus 100 would be 2,100. And that's what we have, 2,100. All right, we're almost there with making this look good. Couple of things. This leftover, we need to put a calculation in here. And I want some space between this section and this section. Again, we're going to add a row above, so we have some space. I'm going to move over to the row number. I am going to right click. I'm going to get our right click menu, and I want to add a row above. There we go, and have some space. Now this looks good. This looks logical. If I go to print this and I show it to somebody else, it makes sense. In the leftover, in the cell next to leftover, we need to put a formula in here that calculates what would be left over. So again, if we were writing this on paper, what would we write? We would write total income minus total expense. In Excel, we're doing the same thing. We're going to type in a formula that is total income minus total expense. We have a formula in here from before, but now that we've moved all these cells around, there's nothing in B1 and there's nothing in B6. So we need to tell it some new numbers. My advice, as always, start over. So I'm going to clear out what's in this cell. Hit delete. It's gone. Done. And let's start a formula. We click in the cell where we want the formula to appear, where we want the results to appear, the number to appear. Start formulas with equal sign. Again, Sheets is trying to make some suggestions. It's trying to be helpful. You ever have a friend who is trying to be helpful, but they're doing the most, they're doing too much? Sometimes that is Sheets. Sometimes it's not. But if it makes a suggestion and you don't know what it is or why it's doing it, ignore it. You're fine. You got this. We're not trying to sum or add up everything. We're trying to find income minus expenses. So I'm ignoring this suggestion. I'm going to click, stay focused. The first thing what we want to do is click the first cell or click the first number we want to work with, which is total income. We're just going to go ahead and click on that. And everything that Sheets was suggesting has now gone away. Thank you. This is the first number we want to work with. We're going to take this number, and what do we want to do? We want to subtract this number. So then we need to put in a subtraction sign, the minus sign, and that's your dash key. What do we do next? We want to click on the next number we want to work with. That is total expense. We're subtracting that. So we'll click on that number. And it puts the cell with that number in it in the formula. We're done. We're only doing two numbers, one number minus another number. When you're done, put a period on that sentence, hit your enter key. And now we have a proper number for left over. It is the expenses minus total income. And you can eyeball it and see that these formulas look right. So when you know the formulas look right, when you put in some dummy numbers, then you can go back and add whatever other numbers you want. Let's say utilities is actually, I don't know, 1111. And let's say the groceries are actually 430. And our entertainment this month is 112 because we're trying to cut back. And our our transportation is $400 this month. We've got, it recalculates. Every time we put in a new number, it recalculates. We have a total expense now of $5,553, which puts us in the negative for our budget. That's not good. But what is good is that you can now see it clearly. I did a lot more with my Etsy account this month because I can see that I'm running a deficit and I made $2,260. Now I have $700 left over. The last thing we're going to do is just make this look a little better, a little prettier. Let's format this a little bit. Let's change the look a little bit to make it make even more sense. That's what formatting does. Just helps to make the look better. So when you're showing somebody else or when you're looking at it later, you've added some visual logic to it. The first thing we're going to do is make these look like dollar amounts. Now, what we're not going to do is use the $ key. No. We don't do that. What we do is use our formatting buttons. So I am on the cell that I want to change. You have to select what you're going to do first. So I've selected 4,000. I want to change that to look like a dollar amount. I'm going to add the $ sign. I'm going to click this button, the $ button, which it will format it as currency. Look at that. it not only formatted 4,000 with a dollar sign, it changed the look of the total income and added a dollar sign. Why? Because this cell is in this formula. See that formula? It's using this cell. And it changed the look of this because this cell is in this formula. Again, it's that sheets thing, doing more than what you asked for. Hey, it's a blessing, it's a curse. This time it works out, it's fine. It didn't change this one though. So let's change how this Etsy dollar amount looks. I'm going to click on the cell first. You have to click what you want to change first. Click the dollar sign button, currency button, and now these all look like currency. I don't want the cents. I want it rounded out to whole dollars. There's a button here to decrease decimal places. See, I have the cell selected, so I'm going to click that decrease decimal place. It takes away a decimal place. I'm going to click it again. It took away 2 decimal places. So now I just have round numbers for my dollars. And notice it changed the cell that has a formula that references this cell. It also changed the leftover number. It took away all of the cents, the decimal places, because we changed this one. They're all kind of linked together. It didn't change this dollar amount the way it looks. So now I have to go and do it manually to this number. I'm going to go to the button and click it twice. Now that looks nice. I want all of these to look like dollar amounts too. So instead of doing them one at a time, I'm going to do them all together. How? I'm going to select. I'm going to select or click on the first cell that I want to change. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to click and hold. Hold that mouse button down. Don't let go. And I'm going to move my mouse down until I have selected all of the cells that I want to change at one time. Then I will let go of the mouse button. They are all selected, highlighted in blue. So the next thing that I do is going to happen to all of these cells. And the next thing I'm going to do is click the currency button, formatting button. And now all of these numbers at one time have been changed to look like currency. A dollar sign has been added. I also don't want the decimal places here. So I'll go back to the decimal button, decrease decimal places, and click that one time, 2 times. And I've changed them all at the same time. Now that looks nice. Let me go back and show you. With currency, it added a dollar sign in front of the number. That's just for the look. It doesn't change the number. If we look in the formula bar, there's no dollar sign added there. Only the number that we added, 4,000. Same thing here. There's no dollar sign and no comma. Just the number that we added. If we click in this cell, there's no number at all. Remember, we put a formula. When you click on a cell, the formula bar shows you exactly the data that's in the cell. When we're looking at the spreadsheet, we can format it and make changes, and this is the way that it looks when we look at it or when we print it or if we shared it on a website. The reason why you want to use formatting as much as possible and not actually typing in numbers or typing in things like dollar signs or commas is because if you don't do it right, your formulas won't work. For instance, if let's say I'm typing in, I'm going to take out the 4,000, And I'm typing in 4,000 and I want to put in a comma myself. I'll type 4 and that symbol and 4,000 and hit enter. All right, everything is whack now. 4,000, because I didn't use a comma, I used a semicolon. Some people think or feel like it works the same. Doesn't at all. So this is not a number anymore. Since this is not a number, Sheets doesn't know what to do with it. Formulas only use numbers. Formulas don't use punctuation. So when you put punctuation in a cell, Sheets says, I can't add semicolons. I can't add question marks. I can't add letters. It has to be numbers only. I'm going to go back and delete it and type in 4,000. And I'm going to let the formatting buttons add the things that I want to the numbers to make it look better, look clearer, make more sense. But what's in the cell should only be numbers. So if you have calculations, formulas, the formulas will work right. Another thing to point out is if something happens to your formulas where the numbers it's trying to add don't work, you're going to get a weird hashtag and a error message like this. You'll look at this and say, I don't know what that is. Just know if you get a hashtag and a word, a number someplace is not a number. It's messed up. And go back and look at your numbers. I'm going to go back to this number and fix it. That is not a number because it has a semicolon in it. I'm going to make it just the number 4,000 and hit enter. Now it looks better. I think I want income and expense to stand out more. Here, I'm going to change the size of my screen. To make those stand out more, I'm going to make them bold. I'm going to click on the cell I want to change, and here's the button for bold. I'm going to click on the cell I want to change, and click the button for bold. And I think the same for leftover. I'm going to click on that cell, and click the button for bold. You know what else I want to do? I want everything to be bigger. The numbers and letters to be bigger when I print it. So I'm going to select everything. Start from the top. Take your mouse, click and hold, drag it over all the letters, drag it down over all the letters, and then drag it to the right over all the numbers. Now I've got everything selected. I'm going to change the font size. Here's a font size over here. There's a minus sign to make it smaller or a plus sign to make it larger. I'm going to click the plus sign 3 times. I like it large. My eyes are not what they used to be. All right, I'm going to click now in a cell, any other cell, a blank cell, because I want this to stop being selected. I don't want to make any changes by accident. But now we need to change the columns. I've made the fonts larger, nicer to read, but some of these labels have gotten cut off. Why? Because the column is not wide enough. So let's make it wider. To make a column wider, move your mouse onto the line between the columns. When you do that, it's going to change into a different symbol. Right now, I've got a pointer, a white pointer, looks like an arrow. When I get it in the right spot between the columns, on the line between the columns, it's going to change into a column cursor. Once I have that cursor, the width cursor, I'm going to click and hold my mouse button, and I'm going to drag it, not up or down. Don't drag it up or down. Drag it left or right. I can make it thinner, but I'm not. I'm going to make it wider. And then let go when it's at the space that you like. Now we have a wider column and we can see all of the labels. You can change this as much as you want. Let's do one more thing. I'm going to change the color. Income, I want it green. Actually here, no, let's change the color here. I'm going to change the color of the label and the total income. So I'm going to click one cell and drag my mouse across to the other cell. Let's do that again. I'm going to select the cell by clicking on it and holding down the mouse button. Now I'm going to drag my mouse across to the next cell next to it, let go. 2 cells are selected, so I'm going to change 2 things at a time. And over here on the toolbar, I've got a text color button. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to select a different color by clicking on that. Total income is green. Total expenses, I'm going to make that red. I'm going to click and hold my mouse on the label total expense and drag it across to the total number. Let go. Those 2 cells are selected. I'm going to go back to text color, add red. All right, we've made some changes that'll make this look nice if we print it. Let's see what it'll look like if we print. To print, you've got your printer button here, or you can click File on the menu and select Print on the bottom. And this is what it will look like when we print. I want to change the sheet. I don't like it. It's landscape. That means it's wide across the top. If I change the orientation here, click Portrait. Now, that looks like a normal piece of paper. And if I clicked Print, or if I clicked Next, it would send it to the printer, and I have a budget that is accurate, and I can show other people, and it makes sense.
All right, now you know how to build and format your own budget in Google Sheets. So make sure to practice and customize it to fit your needs. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more easy tutorials on Google Sheets and other productivity tips.